A hush rippled through Buckingham Palace the moment Princess Anne, soldier at heart, unwavering in duty, stepped into a gilded anteroom. Though the royal household appeared serene, its silent footfalls and grand tapestries still whispering tradition, everything was shifting. Behind closed doors, alliances were reordering like chess pieces. At the eye of this storm stood two women, Queen Consort Camilla, measured beneath the weight of past scandal, and Princess Anne, radiating the certainty of an older guard determined to protect the crown's integrity. Whispers among palace insiders spoke of high-stakes battles, hidden councils, covert alliances, and power struggles that threatened to shatter the facade of unity. But who pulled the strings, and who might be forced into exile? It was at a state reception, an opulent evening bathed in candlelight, where the first crack appeared. Camilla greeted ambassadors with carefully practiced warmth, her pearl-sheathed hand guiding each envoy. At the room's edge and watched, arms folded, her gaze accusing. Just before the doors opened, she leaned to an aide and murmured, "A crown cannot stand whole if its base is rotted." Those words, soft yet fierce, announced her refusal to accept Camilla's role unchallenged, an open declaration of war that only magnified palace tensions. Camilla's past lingered like a shadow. Once seen as the other woman, who divided Charles and Diana, her legitimacy as queen consort never felt complete. Even as official channels hailed her as a devoted partner, a faction of traditionalists remained unconvinced. Anne, schooled in duty and sacrifice, viewed Camilla's late acceptance as a breach of the crown's sacred ethos. Sources say Anne refused to address Camilla as queen, insisting on, by Her Majesty's leave, the Princess Royal, a subtle slight, yet one carrying decades of resentment. Could the whispers of betrayal be stifled, or would they erupt into open revolt? Rumors claimed Catherine, Princess of Wales, privately sided with Anne. In Kensington Palace corridors, aides say Catherine and Anne exchanged furtive words about royal duty and true service. Catherine, known publicly for her diplomacy, discreetly backed Anne's concerns. Yet when questioned, she praised family unity, leaving onlookers to wonder, would she remain a bridge, or step into Anne's faction? Each pause, each carefully chosen word, became a hook for critics hungry for signs of division. Was Catherine orchestrating a quiet coup, or simply keeping her options open? Meanwhile, at Clarence House, King Charles pressed on despite failing health. His chemotherapy made public appearances fragile, yet he insisted on virtual council meetings and handwritten letters. Privately, he wrestled with how to quell Anne's campaign without betraying Camilla, whom he trusted. Late-night audiences saw him leaning on a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, whispering for guidance. How do I bind these wounded wings? Could he weather this storm, or would the pressure crack his resolve? Harry and Meghan's departure had already hollowed out the monarchy's unity. Their candid interviews, speaking of palace betrayals and silent suffering, added fuel to Anne's conviction that strict discipline must prevail. If even your own son turns away, Anne is reported to have declared, how can we expect the realm to stand? That remark, secretly recorded by a sympathetic aide, spread like wildfire among palace staff, intensifying factions. Would Harry's criticisms push Anne to act before Camilla regained her footing? A private luncheon at Sandringham showcased the rift. Camilla arrived first, offering a fragile smile under ancient oak panels. Anne took a seat opposite, fork untouched. Catherine hovered near the doorway, balancing loyalty to her father-in-law with sympathy for Anne's resolve. William, caught between his wife's stance and his mother's position, appeared drained. Then Anne leaned forward and asked, if the Queen Consort cannot unite this family, if her past still fractures us, how can she strengthen our realm? Camilla's gentle reply, pledging unity, felt hollow under Anne's steely gaze. The exchange crystallized the battle, accountability versus belonging. Had Anne just delivered a public sentence, or left room for a fleeting truce? Official events soon betrayed the split. At a Commonwealth leader's reception, Camilla, in mint green silk, raised a gracious toast. Anne was conspicuously absent. Her note declaring she would attend next time spoke volumes. Courtiers interpreted and snub as a deliberate refusal to share the stage, and headlines buzzed with speculation, Princess Royal versus Queen Consort. Was Anne signaling that Camilla's days of unfettered influence were numbered? Then came a Sunday upheaval. The Telegraph, citing insiders, claimed and circulated a petition to strip Camilla of certain patronages, declaring that Camilla's past forever tainted her role. Though no petition appeared, the allegations spread like wildfire. Downing Street urged a call for unity. Online, #Team Anne and #Team Camilla clashed fiercely. Ordinary citizens watched, riveted, unsure whether the monarchy could heal or would fracture beyond repair. Had Anne's petition actually existed? Or was it an orchestrated leak to gauge Camilla's supporters? Catherine's role grew mysterious. Known for her even-tempered grace, she found herself in a private storm. The morning after the petition rumors, she slipped a note under Anne's Kensington office door, an offer to find a path that binds, rather than breaks. Anne's reply, scribbled in ink, read simply, "A house divided invites the tempest to destroy it." Those words, searing in their brevity, became yet another whispered battle cry, ceasefire or cease. Would Catherine's peace offering calm the tides, or drown her in deeper intrigue? Camilla would not be sidelined easily. In a bid to reclaim the narrative, she announced she would personally lead a Windsor fundraiser for veterans' mental health, a cause closely associated with Anne. Critics scoffed at the power play, supporters saw genuine compassion. Clad in powder blue, Camilla greeted tearful veterans, offering empathy and hope. When one ex-soldier, voice thick with gratitude, called her "my queen," cameras erupted. Public sympathy surged, momentarily quieting Anne's fiercest allies. But the question remained, was this a heartfelt moment, or a calculated countermove to shore up her position? Yet even that triumph carried intrigue. After the event, an aide to Anne reportedly slipped a single blue hydrangea onto Camilla's Buckingham desk, an emblem from Anne's own garden at Gatcombe Park. The gesture, anonymous and cryptic, spoke volumes, a reminder that palace battles are fought in grand halls and in whispered tokens. Who placed that bloom? Was it Anne's hand, or a covert ally? The unanswered question deepened the palace's undercurrent of intrigue. Through it all, Charles remained frail but resolute. Early morning investitures still saw his bowed silhouette on palace steps, but by afternoon he often retreated to Clarence House's sanctuary. Camilla, ever at his side, whispered encouragement she could spare, her loyalty unwavering. Once, on a moonlit corridor, she was heard telling Charles, "We endure, my love, even when the winds blow fiercest." Those words, spoken behind closed doors, became a talisman for her supporters. Though Anne's campaign raged, Charles's trust in Camilla stayed intact. Yet some courtiers wondered, would his trust hold when the petition resurfaced in Parliament's questions? As winter deepened, speculation crackled over what lay ahead. Would Anne press for formal reviews of Camilla's patronages? Might Catherine broker a truce at Gatcombe Park, seeking to unite two powerful women for the crown's greater good? Or would Camilla's public empathy further erode Anne's hardline stance? Behind every palace door echoed the same question: who would emerge victorious, and at what cost to the monarchy's future? In the corridors of power and the hushed whispers of tea-shop gossip, one truth became undeniable: the British royal family faced its fiercest internal storm in generations. Camilla's vow of service battled Anne's obsession with purity of duty, while Catherine's quiet diplomacy sought a fragile middle path. All eyes, royal advisers, journalists and citizens, watched for signs of resolution. Would Camilla's compassion withstand Anne's uncompromising demands? Could Catherine's gentle mediation hold a fracturing family together? Or would these fractures widen, heralding a new era of transformation, or disintegration, for the crown? As the night deepened over London, palace gates closed on a kingdom suspended between tradition and change. Every grand clock tower ticked louder, a reminder that history would soon demand its answer. The monarchy, once a symbol of unbroken continuity, now teetered on a precipice. In that precarious silence, the world awaited the next move, uncertain whether a queen's resilience or a princess's principles would ultimately reshape the royal lineage.